Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just a little under 3 months away from its official release by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, as well as creator George Lucas. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that by far, one of the big exciting elements of Episode 9 is, of course, the interactions between both Rey and Kylo Ren, and what that's really going to look like on the big screen, especially since the fact that Kylo Ren is said to be a whole lot more evil than ever before, and of how he was in comparison to both The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, at least in the first half of The Rise of Skywalker, before Palpatine is said to actually conflict Kylo Ren within. Now, on top of all of this, we do know that this film is, of course, going to have a lot of emotional sequences involved by JJ, a lot of tear-jerking moments in this movie that's going to cause a lot of people to shed tears, that's going to be very emotional for the fans. Now, on top of all of this, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting for this movie. Now, specifically, what's really intriguing about all of this is that a description of a sequence where it's explained that both Rey and Kylo Ren are said to be injured after fighting Darth Sidious, where it's said that they think that they have defeated Palpatine once and for all, where they are said to crawl toward each other since Ben is said to have an injured leg, where Rey is also said to be injured from a strike of Force lightning by Palpatine from before, where once they near each other, it's said that they hug it out, where while this happens, it's said that Kylo Ren appears to have a bruised eye, while his eyes are closed, where he is said to be shedding tears as he hugs Rey, where Rey is said to have a bad bruise on her forehead. Just as they think that they have won against Palpatine, it's described that a gust of wind is said to burst through the strange environment that both Rey and Kylo Ren are in, where it's said to be Palpatine back surprisingly after Rey and Ben believe that they killed him. It's explained that this is where Rey helps Ben Solo on his 2 feet, where Ben Solo is actually said to go up against Palpatine, where Palpatine is actually said to reassure that Rey and Kylo Ren that the dark side will never fail. This is where it's said that Rey is described to protect Ben Solo by a strike of Force lightning, once again, by Palpatine, where suddenly Ben is said to be pushed by the Force from Palpatine into the distance, nowhere to be found, where Rey is described to use her lightsaber against Palpatine's Force lightning. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, we do know that the relationship between Rey and Kylo Ren is going to significantly grow and evolve in this movie, and that's exactly what J.J. Abrams said over at D23, and of course over at Star Wars Celebration, etc. You know, we learned a lot more about the relationship between both Ben and Rey and what that's going to be like in this film. In fact, J.J. Abrams had to say, the one word that he could really use between the two is desperate, and that most likely has to do with Palpatine being into the mix here, of being the big bad of the movie. So, with The Rise of Skywalker said to be the biggest film of course, this year when it comes to everything related to, blockbusters out there, a lot of fans are just hoping that this movie can really just knock it out of the park and mark itself down as the best film of the sequel trilogy. Now, this without a doubt is a quote-unquote Reylo moment between the two, as the relationship between these two characters are indeed, evolving. They're more civil toward each other now. It seems like that they are closer, they're no longer rivals, hence why they're hugging, where we actually went over some of the sequences before in the past, where there is indeed a kiss sequence between Rey and Kylo Ren toward the end of the movie. It's really unclear at this point in time right now on, as to exactly if Ben Solo's going to die, or if he's not going to die, what's going to happen with that. Honestly, I think it would be rather unfortunate if, let's say, for example, Ben Solo died in a very unsatisfying way. I think that the way that he has to die is that he has to die by making a certain sacrifice, if that is to be the case. If he is to die, that's how it has to go down in my point of view, because that's how Darth Vader died after he returned, from being Anakin Skywalker. He destroyed Palpatine, at least so he thought at the time, and freed the galaxy of the Sith for numerous decades. So, with that being said, I will say that the concept of Reylo and how it's going to be a thing in this movie where there is going to be a romance between these two characters, there is going to be a relationship, if you will, that's going to evolve and blossom into something very much different than what we have ever seen before in the sequel trilogy. It's really going to be very intriguing to see how JJ and George Lucas are going to really execute that on the big screen, and how Adam Driver's performance is going to mix with Daisy Ridley's when it comes to the whole entire concept of Reylo, right? So the Rise of Skywalker, it really does have a lot of emotional sequences in this movie, a lot of action-packed scenes. I must admit that I'm very excited to see Palpatine back, once and for all, to end the Skywalker saga. We do know that Kathleen Kennedy claimed that, over at Star Wars Celebration, that Palpatine was in the cards ever since before The Force Awakens. So, honestly, I don't think that was the case. I think that this was just a big change due to The Last Jedi backlash. That's just how I view it, and they needed a big legacy character to make a big return to go up against Rey and Kylo Ren to kind of justify an alliance between the two characters, right? And I think that's what makes sense now, is that they have a reason to be allied with each other. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No hiding on one. From night to moon, we hear them moans again.